what drives you to do what you're doing? Because you are socially engaged. You work in a community with youth, and you do all these different things. Like, you're managing all these different things, and somebody from the outside looking in could be like, how is she doing all of that?
Yes, absolutely. I ask myself that same question every day. How am I doing it? How am I gonna get up today and do this thing again? And it's a journey. It's definitely a challenge on some days, but every single moment that I'm able to reflect on like what it is that I'm able to do within my community, I'm reminded like this is why. And so that passion, honestly, it comes from being invested in as a young person, and having people that had my back and helped me to see that I had a voice and that I can make an impact in my city. And my parents, they definitely were movers and shakers in the community. They started really groundbreaking organizations and opportunities for people, and watching that growing up was something that I always admired. And I joined Urban Underground when I was in high school, and that's a youth serving organization where the programs and everything is youth led. So I was very, very quiet in high school and middle school. I didn't talk to anybody. I had friends, but I just stayed to myself a lot, and I didn't have much to say. And when I joined Urban Underground, despite how quiet I was and shy and reserved I was, they didn't care about that. They were like, "You're gonna get on this podium and you're gonna speak at
Yeah,
this
so
press."
they kind of just pushed you.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
was like, "You're gonna speak at this press conference," and I was like, "Am I?" And like, one of my first experience was standing next to Mayor Barrett and a few others on a campaign we were working on at
Mhm.
Urban Underground, and speaking on the campaign. And I read the speech over a million times, so nervous. I'm like, I'm not a talker, I'm not a speaker, and that negative self-talk almost got me. But when I really put, uh my best forward and did that thing, I was really proud. And literally from that moment, ever since then, I've been figuring out, okay, what can I do next to impact my community? What can I do next to support those around me? Just like the people at Urban Underground supported me, Charlene and Reggie, at a
Mhm.
very early age. And my mentor, Charmaine and Jeremy, they saw my potential before I even saw it. And to me, it's critical that I do that for the young people around me,
Mhm.
not even just the young people, my community in general, because unfortunately we deal with a lot of issues in our community, to the point where we have adults who still don't know their worth, adults who still don't know that they're valuable, that their voice needs to be heard. So my work doesn't just stop with the young people in the community, but I don't want to forget about the adults who never had that support as a young person and still need that support today. So my message around loving yourself and
Mhm.
being really beautiful or naturally handsome, all of those messages apply to everyone in my community because everybody needs it.
And that's why you are the change agent that you are today. Because it's not like, okay, I'm just helping people that look like me and that's my age. Like, you are helping everyone across all generations of people, and not just women and girls, but men as well. So that is just a powerful movement that you have established, to just go out and get it and go out and be the change that you want to see, from just being this person that didn't say anything, like, I'm cool. And then when you got to Urban Underground, it's like, okay, we're going to push you. And that's
Yeah.
interesting that you said push, because I think sometimes, as adults, we can kind of like second guess, if we want to say something to a particular youth, or how should we say it, as far as pushing that person, pushing that youth to be all that they need to be. Like, what are some, how did they get to you in order for you to say, okay, you know what, I trust them, what they're saying or what they're pushing me to do, it's going to be valuable for me. Like, how do we impart into the lives of youth, and not be afraid to push?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good question, and one that is one of the biggest challenges that we have. And it's interesting because I hosted an event last night with the young people I've been working with to develop their business ideas over the past 6 weeks. And one of the panelists reached out to me afterwards and just thanked me and made a comment about me being a bridge. just between with the generational gap, and just bringing young people together with the more seasoned individuals, more wise individuals that can give us the support that we need. And I really, that comment really resonated with me, because that is something that I do see as a skill set of mine, of being able to say, like, bridge that gap, and like not allow the disconnect to exist in the spaces that I'm in. Like, I want to be able to be in a space where we have some teens in the room, we have some young adults that are my age in the room, and we have some that are much older than us and have much more experience than us, and we all can vibe and have a good time and give each other advice, and recognizing that the young people can help the adults, and the adults can help the young people, and there's this cycle of just support and understanding. And I think with your question around just how do we reach them, how do we get them to understand like where it is that we're trying to help get them to go, like for me, thinking about Urban Underground and how they got, like, they pushed me and everything. I think it was rare when I was growing up that adults, a lot of times adults were like scared of young people, like, I don't want to say nothing to them, they cause a lot of chaos. I remember I grew up in the age where Mayfair, the age limit at Mayfair went up because it was too much going on, and our peers were cutting up in the mall. Like, we had no faith in us as young people when I was growing up. That's when that started to take place, and going to an organization where it was work that was for us and about us, and they had our best interests. I had no choice but to step into my greatness based on them believing in me. And so that's the kind of space that I try to create with the young people that I work with, and helping them understand and helping them see their greatness and see their potential. Because sometimes it takes that adult or that near peer, because a lot of the young people that I've worked with over the years, I was mentoring at 16 years old, and my students were, in high school right along with me. And when I started like working at Urban Underground at 18 or 19, I became a program manager. My students were 14, 15, 16, and I'm still a near peer close to their age. But it's still important at any age, if you have any experience that's valuable to another human, how can you help shape them into the person that they're trying to become based on your experiences?
Yeah, say that
And I think
again
that,
so we can keep that at the forefronts of our mind.
for sure, for sure. You
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely want to, no matter what age you are. If you are a little bit older than somebody, an experience that you had at the age they're currently experiencing can impact their lives greatly. And sometimes we forget that our experience are not just for us, but for the people that are around us, so that they
Yes.
can be better humans. And at the end of the day, like, I feel like that's what life is about. Like, how can we take our lived experiences to support others and being the best humans that they can be on this earth?
Mhm.
Because, and if we could just continue to push ourselves and push each other, like, we can really make some impact here in this world, not even just in Milwaukee, but at this point I'm looking at global impact.
Look at it. Look at it. That's what you're looking at in the future?
Absolutely, the near
Yeah.
future.
And before we get to what your future plans and goals are, tell us more about what you do with your brand that you own and operate. Actually, the apparel that I'm wearing today is your shirt,
Yes.
Naturally Beautiful. Where did that come from? And then how do you run that? What does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Great question. I'll try not to be long-winded because I get passionate about that story,
That's
but
fine. That's fine. I have
so I
time.
I love it. I started Naturally Beautiful in high school. I started just writing a blog. And I did the big chop. If for those of you who are not a part of the natural hair community or don't understand that language, that's literally when you cut off, your hair and start over from scratch if you had a perm or a relaxer or anything that may have damaged your hair. And so I cut all my hair in high school, and the immediate response was just, the guys laughing at me, the bullying and all that stuff. And I really struggled with that and was extremely self-conscious around my hair. And
So wait,
it
wait.
was
So what led you to this big chop?
actually, it was an accident because
Okay.
I went to get my hair cut into a style for homecoming. This is the day before homecoming. I went to get my hair cut into a style before homecoming, and when I cut my hair, they cut it too short. And I just wanted them to cut over. For the natural hair people, there's a transitioning phase where you got a little bit of like straight pieces, damaged pieces left. You're trying to hold on to them. I just wanted him to cut the little bit off. But they cut a lot of my hair off, and it was like really, really short. And it was just a small little afro. I was trying to go in there and get like a Monica, like shortcut, like a cute little style.
Yeah.
By the time he cut it into the afro, like I didn't even want to straighten it. And, you know, I was just like, honestly, when I first looked into the mirror, I loved it. Because my
Really?
mom had a shortcut, a short afro. I was like, I like this. This is different. It's a look. It's a mature look.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment I walked into the door at school that day, because I came into school late, I was trying to hurry up and get my hair done before, and then go to school for a few hours before homecoming at night. And I loved it. My mom loved it. I started to get a little self-conscious as we pulled up to school, and I didn't want to go. And I went in, and that was the feedback that I got from people at school, and it was very, very disheartening. But then after school, I was a part of Urban Underground, so I went to Urban Underground after school. And the moment I walked in, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, E!"
Really?
Everybody calls me E. That's why it's Natural E Beautiful, the name of my brand. Everybody's like, we love it. Like, what made you do that? And several other girls at Urban Underground cut their hair into an afro after that day.
After
And
you.
after me, it was a movement. I realized it was a movement. Like
Come on,
after I
movement.
did that.
Okay.
And I was inspired by Charmaine Harris, which was my mentor at Urban Underground. And she had the most beautiful, luxurious afro, and like just had the cutest styles every day. And she just like, when you gonna transition into the natural hair world? And so eventually I did, and I cut my hair that day. And that was the moment that inspired Naturally Beautiful. And it started off as just a blog, and I was just talking about my experience. One of the first blog entries I wrote was Big Chop Confidence. And that post was just about how I had to walk into my own confidence in that moment and not care what people thought, and just really embrace my natural beauty. And my India Reed's I Am Not My Hair was on repeat every single day. Like, I had to remind myself, and my mom told me every day, like, you're not your hair. It does, like, and you can learn to love it and embrace it. And I was able to do that after some time. And then eventually, when I was in a senior in high school, I was ready to hit the ground running and take this business idea to a next level. I was
So
working
you
at
weren't a
Subway.
senior yet. What grade were you in at that time?
A junior.
Okay.
And I was still living in Milwaukee at the time. But my senior year, I had to move to Arizona and finish high school. And I was working at Subway in the mall and really working these dead end like call center jobs, like just trying to help out around the house and pay some bills. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to work a job. Like, this is not going to work for me. I was like, Mom, you were an entrepreneur majority of my life. There, like, it's in me. Like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I can't do this. Like, what are my other options? She was like, come up with a plan. Like, what are you going to do? And so many times, to be 100% transparent with you, I struggled in school, just not knowing where it is that I wanted to go and what I wanted to do next. I was so passionate about Urban Underground, but I couldn't focus at school. Like, I was getting 0 point GPAs, to be honest with you. I was skipping school to go to the library because I felt like I could teach myself better. Like, I struggled a lot in school. And so when I realized that my mom was giving me that freedom to create an idea and to figure out what kind of business that I could start, I really put a plan together. And when I tell you I started from nothing, I had like $20 to my name, $20 from working that Subway job and them call center jobs. And I was like, okay, what can I do with $20? I went on Vistaprint, worked on designing some business cards. I had a cousin who ended up being my business coach and just giving me advice. He showed me where I could create a website, and I looked on there and created the free version of my website, and worked with him to develop that idea. And I told him, all I need from you is a logo. Like, can you make me a logo? And he poured into me and invested into me, created my logo. And from there, I was able to really build my brand. My dad had given me, I forgot, like, he gave me a little bit of money at the time, and it wasn't a lot, but it changed. That amount of money that he gave me changed my life. It may have been like $50 or something. I was able to open a business account. And I opened my business account, and I was a senior in high school. And mind you, because if you think about what I said before, I was skipping school. I missed so much school to the point where I almost wasn't able to graduate high school. I had to take
So
night class.
how did mom deal with that? Like,
I think it was
what
hard
type
for my
of conflict was that, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I think it was hard for my mom because she understood where I was coming from. But as a mom, she like, you need to go to school and get,
Mm-hmm.
it just she was just encouraging me and very supportive and always saying, just finish, Imani, just finish. Like, you don't want to be here so bad. Just get it over with and finish. And I listened to her. And honestly, I graduated high school because of Urban Underground. Miss Charlene Moore, she told me, if you don't graduate high school, you'll never be able to work at Urban Underground,
Okay.
because in order to do public allies, which is what I did straight out of high school, you have to have a high school diploma.
So that
So
was your motivation.
absolutely. And I took night classes, I took online school, and I went in for regular classes every day. So literally around the clock, I'm in school and in some sort of class trying to finish high school, that final year, my senior year, and running the business all
Mm-hmm.
at once. And so I'm getting all these ideas together. I'm building my website. I'm still writing my blog and putting all these ideas together. And I realized that graphic tees were super popular at the time. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do a t-shirt. And the t-shirt business wasn't as saturated back then. It was like, it was definitely people who had t-shirt companies, but it wasn't the big thing. So I took my logo, I put it on the shirt with my website. I wore that shirt for my senior photos. And the moment I posted that shirt online, I had so much support from Milwaukee. Like literally like 30 shirts at a time. Like people were just supporting like crazy. And
Wow.
one of my very first customers was a random person I never met in Georgia. I realized like that the reach
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to create by posting on social media, on Facebook, posting, on my website and everything like that was just, it was amazing. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that I was able to do that from the comfort of my home. And so
Do you still get
I
that amazing feeling?
Oh yeah, every single day, and it was amazing being able to create that idea and turn it into something real. My senior year of high school, literally the day after I graduated high school, I was on a flight and I moved back to Milwaukee. I applied for Public Allies and I was working at Urban Underground, and I was able to take the things that I learned from building myself up through my brand, because at the end of the day, my brand is a reflection of my journey. It's
Mm-hmm.
all like it's always been about what, like when I developed the Love Yourself collection, it's all about like, okay, Imani, what does it look like to love yourself more, and wake up and show up for yourself, whether that means self-care or taking care of yourself so that you're not pouring from an empty cup in your community. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just taking y'all along on my journey every time I experience something or a challenge or a roadblock. How can I make my message public so that people who may be going through the same thing can have the support that they need, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes
That makes total sense. Mm-hmm. And
yes. So
And so the Love Yourself movement is just really taking off. And what I like about it again is that it allows people from all different generations and across genders to participate and to be able to, wear and declare that, hey, I'm loving myself. And this is what loving myself looks like.
yeah.
So I know that you live and you breathe it, but share just a few tips or things that you do. What does loving yourself looks like?
And the beautiful part about it is I have not figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I have not perfected it, and I don't think anybody ever will, because there's days where you're gonna absolutely love and adore yourself, and there's days where you're gonna struggle and you have to push yourself to get there, and that's okay. And I had to accept and recognize that it's okay not to be okay. And so on those days where I get up and I put on a Love Yourself shirt, I'm reminded like, oh snap, okay, what can I do today to show myself a little extra love and make sure I feel that within myself so I can spread that same love to everybody else. And so that looks like, for me this year, I really, really worked on waking up every single morning and writing in my gratitude journal 3 things that I'm grateful for, three things I'm going to do to make the day great, and one affirmation, one I am affirmation, whatever that is that I feel that day. And I try to end every single day with that same amount of gratitude. What went well that day, and what could I have done to make the day better? That has been a consistent routine of mine every single day. And I think that's a form of loving yourself, because you have to continue to walk in gratitude. Like, what am I doing well? Because so often we beat ourselves up about what's not going right. And I'm extremely hard on myself. So if I wasn't taking the time to write down what did I do well today, I just wouldn't be reflecting on it at all. So I think that's one tip that is very, very important. Figuring out how you can find a moment or take a moment to just be grateful within your day. Another thing that's big for me personally is routine. I don't know if it's routine or structure, but I just have to have some sort of system in place, or I will literally go crazy. And because I know that, I had to implement that in my life, because there were time frames where I just was all over the place and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get it together. But once I put that structure into place to support me, because I know my personality and I know how I am and how I thrive, implementing that structure was key for me. And so for everyone else, that looks like figuring out what it is that you need in order to feel great every day. So whether that be structure and routine and creating a schedule, or whether that means waking up in the morning and going on a walk because you love to be out in fresh air and nature, or whether that means making time every month to do some online shopping because retail therapy is your thing. Like, literally,
it is.
Whatever your thing is,
Whatever your thing is.
Find that thing and implement it in your life on a consistent basis, and you'll really begin to see how much of an impact that has. And for me, that's what it looks like to love yourself. Prioritizing your needs and making time for it. It's easy to lose sight of the things that we need in this world, especially this 2020 world that we're living in.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I love how you're able to just center yourself and prioritize yourself. And I just think about other women and girls who are trying to figure this thing out on a daily, because we have these days when sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm feeling myself. Then it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Who am I going to talk to? And so this movement that you created and what you're doing, it helps us to get back focused.
Yep.
And, having that gratitude journal helps us to stay centered. Having those routines help us to just, okay, this is what I need to do every single day. Like, how can we really, really grasp and understand the benefits, especially as the younger generation? And then for the older generation, the seasoned generation as well, because for you to be on this self-love journey and this path, I mean, and I know you probably hear it often, people weren't there where you were at that age. So, how would you encourage us? And then for us that are new, that are older, that are seasoned, and we are just now getting into the habit of routine and getting into the habit of loving ourselves, how would you encourage us?
I think I would just I think the encouragement looks like, okay, what are you doing and implementing currently that's working for you? And like I was saying before, like, that's the thing that I want people to be able to focus on and continue to recreate that same exact feeling in your life. So if, like I was saying before, if there's a thing that you do or you enjoy and that makes you feel great, continue to implement that thing in your life. And I want to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly. You were saying, how can how would I encourage you? And there was a second piece.
So how would you encourage us? Because like for the younger generation who may feels like, I'm not really worried about that. I want to do what I want to do. They may not even think about what self-love is. They're just living day by day. But then, as you age, you start thinking about having structure in your life. You start thinking about, okay, your relationships and what does that look like, and loving yourself. So just giving us, a few pointers. Okay, at this particular age, what is the benefit of loving myself? And as a seasoned woman, what's the benefit of loving myself?
Absolutely. That's a really, really great question. And I won't pretend to have all the answers, but from my own experience, I would say the benefits of reflecting on those things and taking the time out to love ourselves as young adults and young people is critical because it impacts and affects the relationships in your everyday life. How you feel about yourself is a direct reflection on how you treat other people. And and often there's a cliche saying like how are you going to love other people if you don't love yourself, all of that, like as cliche as it is absolutely true. Those days when I don't feel good about myself, I tend to interact with people in an unhealthy way when that comes to relationships, when that comes to peer relationships, romantic or platonic, or as well as my relationships with my family. Like when you're bogged down with that stress and depression, or that negative self-talk, that self-doubt, that has an effect on how you interact with those around you. And so being able to say, now I'm not saying you have to have it all together, and I am always walking that thin line of having it, of trying to get it together, and not taking life so seriously, especially as a young person, and enjoying myself and enjoying life and having a good time. Absolutely do those things, but at the same time you want to make very specific time to where you're reflecting, and like you were saying earlier, to recharge and recenter yourself and get yourself in a healthy space so that you can operate in a healthy way with those around you. And I would say very similar for adults who are just getting into this space and figuring out what loving yourself looks like. It's important to do that, especially too, so you can reflect on the struggles that you may have had as a young adult, and because you didn't have that self-love, and you didn't take the time to reflect on what it is that you needed as a young person. Now you are able to do that, and how can you impact generations under you to do that same thing, and just be prepared to like continue to live your best life as you age gracefully, um, and implementing that self-love. I think is very, very important no matter what age you are. And I think if you're young, you can inspire someone who's older in that area of self-love, and if you're older, you can also inspire the younger generation to be very, very on top of their self-love, and they're affirming themselves and making time for themselves.
Hmm. So who are some women in your life? And we know that Miss Charlene Moore is very close to your heart. Um, but who are some women like Charlene Moore who have really poured into your life that really helps you continue to be the woman that you are today?
Absolutely. Great question. Thank you. Charlotte Moore obviously is definitely one of my mentors who poured a lot into me, and Charmaine Harris as well, when she was my mentor at Urban Underground. My mom and my grandmother, all of my grandmothers, have also inspired me just in general about being strong Black women, and just specifically my mom just always walking in her passion regardless.
Hmm.
Like she may have to do some things she don't want to do, work a job she don't want to work, but she's gonna always find time for her passion, and that has inspired me over the past 24 years of my life. Like every single day, I'm inspired by that to keep going. And then I'm trying not to do shout outs right now because I don't want to leave nobody out, but there's some key particular people who've invested a lot of energy and time and resources into my growth and who I am today. And specifically at this moment, I'm thinking of Simone Kilgore. She owns a beauty salon, and she has just invested so much into me as well over the years. I went to Alverno College because she really encouraged me to apply for school. And remember, I struggled so much getting through high school that I didn't think I could go to college. And she was like, just apply,
You do it. Yeah.
just apply and do it. And I went to school, and she threw me a trunk party at her beauty salon, and invited all the women and people in my life who supported me and encouraged me. And I really that's a moment like I wouldn't ever forget. And she's constantly supporting me as well by just all the things that I'm doing in the community, asking me how can I support, how can I help, how can I show up for the young people that you're working with. So that she's also someone that I appreciate. And I'm just trying to like shout out the women that I'm thinking about in this moment. For instance, at my job, I work with a lady named Demetria Smith, who is currently my supervisor. And she's a director of urban programs, and as a Black woman, I'm really inspired by her. Although I work for a small organization, to see a Black woman in leadership, and the way that she's poured into me over the last few months, and just helping me with my leadership and growth, and helping me see how important it is. She's teaching me about self-love. While I have this love yourself message, she's like, because every time we go into our staff meetings, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. She was like, you use that word a lot. How are you taking care of yourself? So moments like that, and Black women like that who are willing to invest their energy and time into just keeping me uplifted and encouraged and inspired, I'm extremely grateful for. There's a long, 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 long list of Black women in Milwaukee that I can shout out right now, and I wish I had the time to do it. But they all know who they are. They all absolutely know who they are and how much I appreciate them.
Well, that is beautiful, and because of them, you are. I know you've heard that before. You know,
Absolutely.
because of them, I am. But it's really true. Because of them, you are, and we see the beautiful fruits of your labor on a day-to-day basis. I want us to pivot and talk about, what do you see for Imani in the future? Because I know you have like this big plan for yourself, and what you see for not even just yourself, because of the passion that you have, you see a future for the people that you serve. So what does that look like for you, for yourself? And then what does that look like for Naturally Beautifully, the movement that you created?
Cool. So can you ask the first part again? I want to make sure I answer all of it.
Yep. Yeah. So what does that look like for yourself? Like, what do you foresee in the future? You know, we're not trying to get all in your business, but
No, no,
where
absolutely.
you hope to be.
Absolutely. It's crazy because that was a check-in question for one of our staff meetings recently, and they asked us to so they did this like talent show, but it wasn't a real talent show. They turned off the Zoom cameras, and then when we came back, we had to show up as someone who inspired us, and it could be ourselves or someone else. So when the cameras came back on, I showed up as my 40-year-old self, and I had to tell my story about how far I came. And I really just kind of talked about enjoying my life up until the age of 40, and really investing in my community as much as I possibly could, so that I can, relax and know that my impact is going to continue, but without me having to put in so much, intense work, because I'd rather do that now while I'm young and vibrant and have the energy, so that when I get older, I can get to a place where I would have invested in so many other young people that they're taking on that same task, and they're doing it while they're young, and they're using that energy while they're young to invest into their community. And so there's a lot that I want to do in the very near future. Because I really honestly have been in a mindset where I see my future is now. Like all the things that I want to do in my future, like I really want to do those things now and try to work at those things, because there's going to be so many more things that I want to do that I'm not even thinking about right now. So I want to build a school, and I talk about that all the time. And it's an idea that one of my best friends and I had when we were in Urban Underground, and we literally built a model of it and everything. It was something that we said that we wanted to do, and it was an idea. And when we were younger, it was just all talk. But now we're just like connecting with resources and really thinking like, okay, how can we actually make this happen? Because we know our experience in the school system in Milwaukee, and how we want to be able to make a difference in the lives of young people, so that they have a good educational experience when they're young. So that's a huge idea. Can I do that tomorrow? Absolutely not. But can I start gathering the resources to be prepared to do it when the time is right? Absolutely. And so that's kind of how I look at life. And with Naturally Beautiful right now, for the month of December, I'm going to be taking a break from Naturally Beautiful and closing it down, so I can go through a rebranding process.
Okay.
And I just reached my 6-year mark of being in business. And I realized I think last week is when I got the notice on Facebook that it's 6 years old. Yeah. And I had a moment where I'm like, it's time to level up. It's time to take things to the next level. It's time to really become the businesswoman that I've always wanted to be. And I still work a full-time job, a regular 9 to 5 like everybody else, but I'm dedicated to my movement. And so it's time for me to really put in the resources and the time to make sure that my business reflects exactly what it is that I want it to be. So there's a lot coming up. There's a lot coming up, a lot of new things and new opportunities that I want to create through my business. I have also a podcast called Uncomfortable Conversations. So we really been talking about taking that to the next level and creating space for people to feel comfortable to express themselves when it comes to having these difficult, uncomfortable conversations. And as
And
far as
is it for a target audience or is it for all ages?
honestly, all ages.
Okay.
Mainly like young adults and up. We have some eighth graders in our Facebook group. Like we have all type of people
Really?
in our Facebook group who are just have really just been carrying the dialogue and inspiring each other through their conversations. And we talk about a wide range of topics. So that's been awesome. And then as far as the business goes, I have a lot of goals to create a structure for my business that goes beyond merchandise. I've always said that my business is not just about t-shirts. I'm not a clothing line. Like it sounds weird because like Naturally Beautiful is a clothing line, but I'm not a clothing line. I'm a source for inspiration and affirmation for those who engage with the brand. But at the same time, I want to create spaces for young people to do the same thing that I was able to do. So I created an ambassador program, and I'm really working on fleshing that out with this rebrand come the new year. And you getting information that I haven't even put out there yet. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
give it to
can
us.
you getting all
First, give it to us first on
yeah.
Law Talk on Lincoln All Women.
Absolutely. And so I'm working on this brand ambassador program to not only, so I don't know if you heard of like Fenty with Rihanna
Mhm.
or different clothing brands and like what is it? What is it called that everybody Fashion Nova, like
Yeah.
all those brands have brand ambassadors, but you wear their clothes, you post it, and that's it. You promoted their brand. But
Mhm.
my brand ambassador program, what makes it different is people are going to be able to. So I hired 2 brand ambassador presidents, and they are a part of the process of selecting our brand ambassadors. We've gotten applications from all over the country,
Yeah.
and with that, with people joining on to the ambassador program, they get a chance to really invest in themselves. So a part of them being joining the movement, they have to, participate in meetings about their goals, like what it is it that you want to accomplish. Do you want to create your own brand? Do you want to be a photographer? Like what is it that you want to do? And how do we start to build your resume? And how do we create a bio and a cover letter for you? And how do we make sure you have headshots? Like that's
Oh,
what
this
I want
is gonna
to
be
do.
good. This is gonna be real good.
So I'm really excited to really flesh this idea out and take it to the next level. I haven't had the time because I've been working a lot, but with me taking the month off in December, I'm so excited to really put some other young adults in some leadership positions to be able to help take the brand to the next level, because my brand has never been about me. It's always been about the community. So I want to make sure I continue to stay true to that.
I'm excited about your future. And if there's any way that I can help, that Lincoln All Women can support you in what you're doing in your future endeavors, I am here for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I
That's
really
gonna be
appreciate it.
dope. That's gonna be dope.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity a lot, and I appreciate you creating the space for young people, young adults, as well as our elders to exist in the same space, no matter what background you come from. As a woman, being able to show up for each other and support each other is very, very key, very necessary.
Mhm. Yeah, because we all need each other. And once we link
Absolutely.
together, we are just linked for life. We're linked for life. And so I thank you for all that you are doing in the community and what you're getting ready to do across the world. This is going to be amazing. And I am in support of you. And
Thank you.
thank you for coming on Lincoln All Women.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.